The best chance I have to share a few minutes with you tonight is remind you of a few of these things, because I think the best influences in our lives are constantly reminding us of those things that we know already. And so I'm going to begin by telling you a tale. I took my son to a Little League baseball game this afternoon, and we're driving down Vincent Drive to the Holland Youth Sports Complex right here in this Athens, GA. And I was feeling so fortunate, so blessed, just like we're all blessed to be out here amidst this beautiful sky, sharing in the fellowship of one another, enjoying our days, enjoying a drink, enjoying some company. And I was reminded of a day just a few years ago when I was driving down that very same Vincent Drive in this very same Athens, Georgia. I was principal of a high school here, and I was delivering a computer to a young woman who was going to have to be staying at home for a few months, taking care of her baby, who had a long-term chronic illness, and she was going to have to be doing her work from home. And I remember pulling in to her driveway where she lived with her child and her mother and her aunt and her aunt's child. And we were hauling the computer out of my car, putting it in her apartment. And after I'd set up the computer, I asked her to sit down just to make sure that everything worked, to make sure she could get online and take her classes and do everything that she needed to do to live a more fulfilling existence, to move her life forward, and to hopefully move her child's life forward. And she handed me her 20-month-old son. And as she's turning on the computer, I'm hanging on to that baby. And I'm thinking about my own child at about the same age. And I'm thinking about the vast gulf between her existence and my own blessed and fortunate existence. And taking care of that gulf, crossing that gulf, ensuring that that gulf no longer exists, my friends, I think is the central challenge of this existence that we share.
Yeah.
It's trying to say, how can these great things that I know that I enjoy and that I'm blessed with be shared broadly by all of us? How can we make sure that we're together and not alone? How can we make sure we're connected and not separate? How can we make sure that we look into the eyes of every other and we see ourselves in those eyes?
Yeah.
So I'm reminded of this every day when I roll into my office a block and a half up the hill here to serve you in City Hall as your mayor. And I'm fortunate to have the work of some great colleagues on the county commission, some great colleagues in this staff, and more than anything, fantastic citizens who come up to me like you do every day to remind me of my responsibilities. And I want you to continue to do that because that's important work. That's critical work. When we don't have conversations, we forget. And we can't be in a world in which we forget. We have to be in a world in which we remember, in which we embrace that knowledge that we have, in which we say, we are not going to be leaders who forget the past. We are not going to be leaders who lock out facts that everybody knows and that are commonly recognized. We are not going to crawl into a shell. We are in fact going to reach out to one another and say, how can we do better for each other? So I want to note just a couple of things that I'm proud that are coming to the table here in your Athens, here in this year 2019, because of your efforts. Here in this year, addressing those very small children that I just referenced in my tale, we are going to be devoting $45 million to affordable housing in Athens, Clarke County.
Yeah.
Because we believe it is a human right that everybody should live a dignified existence. Every child, every mother, every family should be able to roll out your front door and say, this is a warm, well-resourced, connected neighborhood where I can live safely, I can live a fulfilling life, I can support my children well, and I can push our existence forward in a positive way. And that's going to help us do that, because we all deserve that. Right now, this government is putting significant efforts into bringing high-wage, high-quality jobs to this community right here. Because everybody deserves to wake up every day and feel as if you have something positive to contribute to your own existence and to your own community. And so every day we're looking at new employment opportunities, and in just this coming year, we're going to be devoting over $150,000 to ensuring that some of our most challenged residents, historically, chronically, multi-generationally challenged residents, are brought some training and employment opportunities to live better lives. And I'm proud of you bringing those ideas to the table here. I also want to note that it is a human right to live on a planet that is going to be sustainable. To live in a community that is not going to be washed away or burnt to a crisp, or find ourselves in another and yet another and yet another climate zone as climate change takes us down. So this government is going to devote $15 million to renewables over the next decade. We're going to move away entirely from fossil fuels, because you deserve that, and your children deserve that, and your grandchildren deserve that. It is a human right to live a life that you can project into the future and into your children's future. And finally, I want to note that it's long overdue, it's long past. It's a step that many other communities across this country and across this globe have taken, that they've recognized that we need to be intentional about reaching out to every corner of the community. It's not enough for me to walk into a coffee shop or a restaurant or a store or a bar where I just see people who look like me and have the same experience as me. We need to acknowledge everyone. And so here in 2019, we are funding and opening an Office of Inclusion and Diversity right here in Athens, Clarke County. And this office is going to begin with a reckoning that acknowledges we lived a past that we are not proud of, but it's a past we have to be honest about. So my office is going to be posting an open source primary document archive as we open this office this summer, so that we acknowledge from the very earliest founding of this community in 1806, this community was not given to us, but in fact it was taken from people who lived here, who belonged here, who had lived here for millennia and deserve to be able to continue to live here. We know this to be true. We know it to be true that people were enslaved and taken here against their will. We know the names. We know when they arrived. We know this government was involved in human rights violations from the early part of the 19th century up until this last century. We have to be honest about that, and this office is going to acknowledge these misdeeds so that we can fully move forward. And in moving forward, we are in fact going to be seeking connections with every nook, every cranny, every corner of the Athens-Clarke County community. Because if you are here, if you are living in this place, this is your Athens, and it belongs to you. It belongs to you whether you've just rolled out of the labor and delivery ward over at St. Mary's or Piedmont Regional. It belongs to you if you're living out your retirement years here. It belongs to you no matter the color of your skin. It belongs to you no matter who you love. It belongs to you no matter what language you speak or where you were born. It belongs to all of us, my friends, and we are blessed to be living in this time together. I'm easy to find, just up the hill. Knock on my door. I look forward to seeing you soon. God bless you all.
Yeah.